Chapter 35, and welcome back if you're still with me. Thank you very much for supporting the podcast, and I hope you will come with me onto this third book and last book. Okay, chapter 35. I don't see Miss Banbury all week, but I feel her. I know she's in the building, like you know a toothache is coming from the dull throb in your gums. I suspect she has some kind of protection spell over her, something that stops me from confronting her directly, while she recovers from the incident with Aaron. More than once I walk down a corridor to find it extending on and on, so that I pass the same statue of Mary twice, the same frame photo of the fifth year choir 3 times. There's a feeling of immense pressure, like turbulence, like sinus infection. I know what is happening without having to say it out loud. I keep Sister Assumptia's pearl-handled letter opener close, not sure what it does, but confronted by its heft. On Wednesday I make one last-ditch attempt at getting through to Rue. "Hey," he says, sounding grateful to hear my voice. He seems tired, like life on the road is starting to take it out of him. "It's good to hear your voice. Home on Monday?" "Yup," I agree. Then I launch into it. "Listen, Rue, there's something you should know. On Friday we are doing a spell." As a long sigh on the other end of the line. "It's an important one," I continue, trying not to let his embarrassment or exhaustion affect me. "We are sealing the well at St. Bernadette's." Silence. "The thing is," I go on, my voice warbling, "St. Bernadette is actually the mouth of the well, and I've got to go. Maeve," he says, and he hangs up. And then it's Thursday night, the eve of destruction, as Fiona has started calling it. We gather at Nuella's and go through it all, step by step, beat for beat. After we seal the well, Lily says tentatively, "What happens to us? Will our gifts go away?" Manon is holding a jam jar of Heather Banbury's binding spell up to the light. It is mossy green in colour. "No," she says. "Or I don't think so. What we are doing is sealing the hole the housekeeper created, the one that made the well so vulnerable. A normal flow of magic to Kilbeg will resume." I tell them about Sister Assumptia and the knife, and we all agree that we should use it to expose the well. I can see from Nuella's face, though, that she is thinking of her sister and how the knife could have been heaven's to carry. We eat dinner together. Nuella seems to think it's extremely important that we all sit down and break bread before we embark on our plan that is both holy and good and vastly imperfect. We know there could be variables we haven't counted on. We know that dealing with a human person is not the same thing as dealing with a spirit like the housekeeper, that in many ways this is both easier and more difficult. People don't behave like demons do. Sometimes they behave worse. Nuella's kitchen table is too small to seat all of us, so she brings in plastic in the plastic porch table and spreads a navy flowered cloth over both. She cooks the 2 chickens whose fat went into the candle and serves them with salad and 2 sticks of French bread. Fiona has a little butternut squash pie in a white enamel dish. Her initials picked into the pastry. Halfway through there's a ring of the doorbell. It will be that boy collecting money for the guide dogs. Again, Noella frowns. Honestly, he must know I'm a soft heart. He's coming twice this week. Aaron stands up. I'll get it, he says. I'll tell him to give it a rest. He disappears to the hallway, and I hear murmur of voices, one of them getting louder. Quickly, we each drop our cutlery and look at one another. I'll go, I say. Standing up, I get to the doorway and see that it isn't anyone calling. For guide dogs, it's Roo. Roo leveled up. Roo even more spectacular than I've seen him before. He must have gotten some clothes in Dublin, because what he's wearing outstrips anything I've ever seen in Kilbeg. High-waisted patent leather trousers and a peep-toe heel, paired with a huge furry purple jacket. His hair curly, his eyebrows thick and painted. If Roo was a junior rock star before, it's fair to say he's graduated to the mid-leagues now. My heart leaps when I see him. Roo, I squealed, but he doesn't hear it. 2 sounds drowned it out. His fist hitting Aaron's face, and Aaron hitting the door. Well, I guess that makes us even, Aaron says minutes later, holding the bag of frozen peas to his open lip. Even for what? Roo hisses from across the kitchen. He hasn't sat down yet. We have, in brief, explained Aaron's presence in the house. We tell Roo that he has left the children of Bridget. Aaron, through the blood, explains himself. He talks Roo through the series of epiphanies that have led him to believe that perhaps the point of life is not, as he previously thought, to manipulate vulnerable people into believing outdated doctrines, outdated of pure fear. He does not explain about Matthew. It doesn't feel like the right time. This is not good enough for Roo. He's disgusted, perhaps rightfully, that it seems good enough for us. You were both there, he says to me and Fiona, bewildered, hurt in his eyes. You were there when he started the riot at the Cypress. I know, I say, and I don't like it either, but he knows too much for us not to use him. So what? He's our friend now. No, Lily, Fiona and I all say at once. I can't believe this, Roo says, shaking his head. Suddenly, a thought occurs to me. Wait, what don't you believe, Roo? His eyes widened, like he can't believe the person I've turned into, that you would even entertain the thought of sharing a room with him. He glances at the table of chicken and bread, or a effing meal. Why, I prod a theory starting to develop in my mind. Because he's violent, homophobic, who manipulates people, he says, narrowing his eyes at Aaron. Because everything bad that's happened to this city in the last year in some way can be linked back to him. How? I jabbed again. Tell me how he manipulated people, because he is effing evil, sensitive Maeve. You know this. I can't help it. A wild grin cracks over my face, like an egg spilling into the frying pan. A sensitive, I say, almost giddy. That's that? What's that? Rue is so angry now that the words just spill out in one furious mess. A person who is more connected to the magic of the earth, which is why he could summon the housekeeper, and he smacks a 3-ringed hand over his mouth. Oh my God, he gasps. Oh my God, oh my God. I go to where he's standing and wrap my arms around him, holding him tightly. Rue grabs my waist hard and holds on to me like he is about to drown, or has been drowning for some time. I'm sorry, he whispers, tears choking his throat. I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. A few seconds, the rest of the room falls away. It's just me and him again. 2 school kids in the underpass. 2 children hiding under the bed. 2 people who has literally taken a blade for each other. You came back, I mumble into his ear. Did you remember? Only just now, he says, untangling himself from me. When I saw, he gestures vaguely at Aaron. Then, how come you are here? I talked to Honor about everything, about how I thought you were exaggerating or using this magic stuff as a coping mechanism for trauma. And she just looked at me and said, it doesn't matter if it's a coping mechanism or it isn't. You need to be there for her. And I don't know. I just got a wake-up call. I realized it didn't matter what I believed. It mattered that you were safe. So you left the tour. Just one date. He smiles meekly. And when you weren't at Fiona's house or your house or my house, I figured there was only one place you could be. I throw my arms around Rue again, him feeling more solid and more real than he has in months. My mouth sinks onto his, and I feel like a person who has just eaten after weeks of starving. Nuella coughs. Glad to have you back on the team, Rue. And that was chapter 35. Ooh, her love of her life is back. So 2 magicians, and fire is going to fly. Passion. Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going on, continuing till the book is finished. Take care. Bye-bye.